Hi, this is Adam from Inflectra, and in today's webinar, we're going to be talking about testing Microsoft Dynamics AX 2012 with our Rapise test automation system. So the first thing we'll do is record a Dynamics AX test using Rapise and the Rapise visual language for scriptless test automation. We'll create a new custom in Dynamics, and then after it's created, we will verify the data was created correctly and then do some cleanup so you can create it again a second time. After that, we'll be talking about some other related topics, including how to integrate with SpiraTeam for enterprise test management, how to do data-driven testing, and how to use the JavaScript editor for more advanced test functionality. And after that, we will have our Q&A.
Hello, welcome to Inflectra webinar on testing Microsoft Dynamics AX with Rapise. My name is Denis Markovtsev and I will be a presenter today. Rapise is a general-purpose tool for automated testing of desktop, web and mobile applications, and it has special support for Dynamics family of products, including Dynamics AX. With Rapise, you can simulate end user behavior and verify system output. Let's see how to do this. I'm going to record a simple test which should add a new customer in Dynamics. First, I need to create a new test in Rapise. So I'm going to File menu and selecting a new test. And I'm presented a dialog which will allow me to create a new test case in SpiraTeam and attach my new test right to this test case. SpiraTeam is application lifecycle management tool from Inflectra, and it used to track incidents, requirements, test coverage, releases, all is linked together. And what is most important for Rapise is that SpiraTeam is able to execute Rapise tests remotely on different machines and gather all results right inside SpiraTeam, and all results are accessible by all team. So I will show this in more details a little bit later. So I am creating a new test case. Let's name it new customer 3, for example. And since Dynamics AX is a desktop application, among the choices I am presented below, I am choosing Windows Desktop Application Testing Mode. And the last choice I need to make is to choose how I am going to work with my test steps. Rapise provides 2 ways how you can create and modify your tests. The first option is RVL, Rapise Visual Language. It is designed for people without programming experience. This is a spreadsheet-based approach using which analysts and domain experts may participate in creation of tests, automated tests. And the second approach is JavaScript, which is designed for programmers who are familiar with JavaScript, and they can use their favorite programming language to work with test automation. For now, I will choose RVL. So the new test was created, and let's record some steps. So I am pressing record button, and I am presented application chooser dialog where I should pick application I want to record from. So I choose Dynamics AX and press select. And in the right bottom corner you can see recording activity dialog, and it will be showing actions that Rapise will be capturing while I will be interacting with the application. So for example, I click on customers node in the tree in Dynamics IX. And you can see in the recording activity dialog that Rapise captured the tree object, and it recognized that I clicked on the node, and also it recorded on which node the click was performed. So I clicked on customer node. So let's click on all customers, and Rapise captures this action as well. So you see this in recording activity dialog. So the next step is to press customer button, and we are presented a new customer dialog. So I set focus into name field, enter value, for example Google, and put focus to another field. So I was doing this many times, so Dynamics IX contains some duplicates, so I need to confirm that I want to create a new organization. To confirm this, I need to press a button which is currently hidden under the recording activity dialog. So I press pause to tell Rapise not to capture my mouse actions for a while. So I can put this dialog aside, then resume recording and press add button. Then I click on customer group. This is the last required field that I need to fill to create a new customer. Expand the grid with choices, and then select software. You can see here in the recording activity dialog that Rapise understood that I clicked on a cell in the grid and that I clicked on software value in customer group column. Okay, save and close. And we created a new customer, and it is not displayed in the grid, so I need to press refresh button. Here it is. Sometimes when you work with test automation, you want to verify the state of the application. So let's verify that this grid contains 3 rows. So I press Ctrl+1 keyboard shortcut, and I'm presented the list of properties of this grid. I'm scrolling to row count property, set checkbox, and press OK. And you see here that Rapise generated verify statement that will be checking that this grid contains 3 rows after I add a new customer. Let's move the system to the state it was prior we started recording. So I click on Google, cell in this grid, then click on delete, and then confirm deletion, and then navigate to area page. And the system now is in the initial state. And we completed recording this scenario. So I press finish. And Rapise displays the dialog where should I insert my recorded steps into RVL spreadsheet. I don't have any, so I'm inserting in the beginning. And in the spreadsheet you can see recorded steps. This spreadsheet is pretty simple. So you can see here that in the first line, for example, Rapise should find the tree object, perform click node action, and click on the customer's node. For example, the next step is clicking on the all customers node, then clicking on customer button, then entering text into the name field. So this is pretty straightforward. So let's save our created test. And I want to set a few parameters for this test before executing it. So first I want to stop execution if there is any error. And I need to find parameter stop on error and set it to true. And also I want to capture a screenshot during test execution, and why it is needed. If something goes wrong based on the logs and screenshots, you can analyze the reason and find out why the test failed. So I am enabling capturing screenshots on execution, then include these screenshots into report. And I have a choice if I want to capture the whole screen or just the widget with which Rapise interacts. So let's capture widgets only. Okay, so I save my test, and then I save it to SpiraTeam. And all the files of my test will be uploaded to SpiraTeam and will be stored there. So anyone on the team will be able to get this test to her computer and execute it there. So let's go to SpiraTeam and do refresh in the list of test cases. Here is our test case, new customer, we created in the beginning of this session. So let's go inside into this test case. And if we will scroll down a little bit, you can see that this test case is linked to Rapise test, and the link to this test is presented here. And the files of this test are also stored inside SpiraTeam. So we have our test case implemented by Rapise test, and now I want to execute it and schedule execution from SpiraTeam. So to do this, I need to create a new test set. So let's go to the list of test sets. And I have a few test sets created before. Let's create a new one. And let's name it set 3. Saving. And test set contains a list of test cases it needs to execute. So I go into a test set that I just created. And then I need to scroll down to a table of test cases, then press add button, scroll to the list, and then set checkboxes near test cases I want to include. So for now I want to include new customer 3 test case, press save. And here it is in the table. And the last thing I need to do is to say to SpiraTeam that this test set is automated. And I need to choose a host where to execute this test set. The current host I'm working with is a DexH, so I'm choosing it. Also to execute it immediately, I need to choose some date in the past and then save changes. Okay, and on my host I have a special component running. It is called Rapise launcher, so we can activate it from the tray. Rapise launcher is a special service agent running on the host, and it is connected to SpiraTeam. Let's go to client setup page. It has all the connection settings here, and it is polling with frequency. You can set here 1 minute in our case. Polling SpiraTeam for new jobs it needs to execute. So now we should see that there is a test set scheduled in SpiraTeam that needs to be executed, and here it is. So what Rapise launcher does now, it downloads the tests to current hosts in a temporary folder, and then once they are downloaded, it starts execution. So you can see here that the test is executing right now on this host. Creates a new customer in the system, and when execution of this test case is completed, all the results, log files and screenshots will be uploaded to SpiraTeam, so everyone on the team can see the results. So let's go to SpiraTeam. Here is our test set, and on the test runs tab here, after refresh, we should see our test run, which was just executed. So it should appear in this table here. Here it is. We have our test case executed. Let's go inside. And here we see the report with the steps which Rapise executed, and also for each step interacting with the graphical control in Dynamics, you can see a screenshot. So we see here that Rapise clicked on customer, then it clicked on new customer, entered the name of the customer, and so on and so forth. So you can see all this information here. And green color indicates that the test run was successful and the test execution was completed without any error. Okay, so let's go back to Rapise. So now we have a very simple test recorded, and normally when you have test steps recorded, you want to make your test data driven. So right now, if we go to spreadsheet, you can see that all values that we enter into Dynamics during execution are hard-coded here. So let's make this test data driven. I'm inserting a few rows, and I want to create a map of type columns. It means that my values will be specified in column. I remove some data which I don't need here. And let's name this map config. Let's name the first row name and the second one is group. So name is the name of the customer, and the group is the customer group. So for example, let's create a customer with name Amazon and with a group retail. So I have this map here, and what I need to do is to go to the lines, to the steps which enter data. Here is the line which enters customer name. Here I select my map config and select name field. So on these steps, the value that will be entered, it will be taken from this map. So let's scroll a little bit down, and here is the customer group that I need to enter. Selecting config. Oh, no, not here, a bit above this. Here is the group config, and when I'm selecting the cell to delete the new customer, I need to set config name as well. So here is our test where all parameters are defined in the beginning. So let's scroll this up, and let's execute our test, and it should create a customer Amazon this time. So the test is executed, and you can see here that in the name field Rapise enters Amazon, and customer group is retail. So new customer is created and then deleted from the system. So we just parameterized the test, but sometimes you want to run the same steps for different sets of data. So let's make this test really data driven. I'm going to file step, which shows all files which constitute my test, and I'm going to create a new spreadsheet here. Let's name it data, and I think 5 rows and 5 columns is enough. So let's name the first column name and the second group, and let's add a few other customers here. One can be Apple, of group software, and the second let's make the second line of data Inflectra software. So I have a spreadsheet with 2 lines of data, so I'm closing it. Let's go to our RVL and create here another map of type range, and the map of type range can be bound to external spreadsheet. So I'm entering file name here and sheet name, and let's read only those columns and rows which have data, and let's name it config as well. So this time all values should be taken from data XLS spreadsheet. So let's execute it and see that this time Rapise should enter the new customer Apple here, since this is the first line in our data XLS. So the new customer is created. So right now we executed just one iteration. And how to run the same steps for each line in the spreadsheet. For this purpose, we need to define a loop which is bound to a map config, and I need to put this end right after my steps. So this time Rapise should execute the same steps for all row in my data XLS. So let's execute. And the same steps will be performed with different sets of data. So first we create Apple customer, and in the right bottom corner you can see execution monitor. It shows how many actions passed and how many failed, and which actions is currently performed by Rapise. Using this dialog you can also pause execution or stop it completely. So now Rapise proceeded to second row of data, and it enters Inflectra customer of customer group software. So customer is created and then deleted. So you can see here that all steps were executed successfully. So we now have a really data-driven test. So I showed you how test looks in RVL mode. If you are a programmer and it is more convenient to you to write or modify the code written in JavaScript, you can use this mode, and Rapise also supports conversion. So what I can do is to select my steps here in the table, right click and copy selection as JavaScript. Now I am going to the main test file of my test, and then just paste this code here. I do not want to run the spreadsheet right now. I want to run my JavaScript code. So you can notice here that JavaScript code very resembles RVL. So this is it is pretty simple. So for example, the first step interacts with the object tree, performs click node action, and clicks on the node customers. So actually all objects that were captured during recording by Rapise, they are presented in the object tree to the left, and these objects are grouped together into windows where they are located. And each object has a type. For example, when we interacted with the tree, it was recognized as a tree by Rapise, and the tree has a set of actions that can be applied to it. For example, clicking on the node, expanding, collapsing the node. And also there is a way to get some attributes of nodes of the tree. We can get the text of any node, we can get number of children of a particular node, and so on and so forth. So to see how to execute a particular action, we can press F1 keyboard shortcut to see Rapise help file, and it shows detailed information about which parameters should be passed to a particular action and which default values those parameters may have. So actually Rapise has a detailed reference of object types it supports in different types of applications. For example, in Dynamics IX we have special support for this set of objects. So let's click on the table, and you can see the list of properties which we can read from the table, and list of actions that we can apply to table objects. Also, if you are working with JavaScript, Rapise can generate the code for you. So for example, if you want to click on a node, you can click on their action in the object tree and then drag it into editor, and Rapise generates the code for you. So what you need to enter is just parameter values for this action. So here we have name and the group from config map in RVL, and these variables are not defined here at the moment, so we can just define them here and enter values. Here it is, and our test right now can be executed. So let's do this, and Rapise this time will perform actions coded in JavaScript. So during this session I showed you how you can use Rapise to automate testing Dynamics AX. So we created a new customer simple test. We put it into SpiraTeam associated with a test case, created a test set, and then executed it using Rapise launcher, and analyzed execution report here with the screenshots. And also I showed how you can make a recorded test data driven. First we parameterized the test, then added binding to external spreadsheet, and then we converted our steps into JavaScript, and I showed you how the test looks like in JavaScript.
Well, thanks for watching. I hope this video on testing Dynamics 2012 AX was helpful. If you'd like to learn more about testing Microsoft Dynamics, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Have a great day.